Hey, you want to see some flat-out racing? Try sprint cars. They're mean. They're nasty. And they are fast. It isn't easy handling 850 horsepower. Stay tuned, strap in. It's a wild ride. They have big hearts and a whole lot of horsepower. Brave souls and the will to win. Any night of the week, they are still the local heroes. And they live for the sound of thunder. Welcome to historic old Winchester Speedway. As we approach the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II, this is widely believed to be the first racetrack to crank them up. After the end of hostilities, they'll crank them up tonight for the USAC Loctite Sprint Car action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to live coverage of Thursday Thunder. They're qualifying for the Sprint Cars right now. You who watch this television program we affectionately refer to as Thunderheads. Tonight we have for you a Thunderheads 3 for the price of 1. Big midget race last week at IRP. You've heard about it. You haven't seen it. We'll show it to you tonight. All the highs and the lows, including the move that cost Danny Drinan a 2-race suspension. We'll have a super modified attempt to set an absolute track record here. 13.9 seconds is the mark around a half-mile racetrack. That's over 120 miles an hour. And that's my cue to stop and talk a minute about the racetrack. Remember last time we were here, I stood out there and pointed out in the new paving job how they'd laid down some white lines, particularly one where the 2 new lanes of asphalt met. There was a little bit of a transition, 4 or 5 degrees from one lane to the next, and it was problematic. Run a car across that, it'd get all out of shape. It made it a single-lane racetrack. Can't have that. Racing is passing. They've gone in and fixed it, and I understand you're getting a ride around the place right now. What they did is dug up a 15-foot wide section, straddling that seam, repaved it. It is now smooth as a baby's bottom from the bottom of the track all the way to the top. And how fast is it as a result? Kenny Irwin Jr. in qualifying just a couple of minutes ago took 0.2 of a second off the track record for sprint cars. It's going to be a rock and roll Thursday night here on Thunder. Years ago, Gary Bettenhausen and Larry Dixon dominated the sprint car division. They were called the Gary and Larry Show. Sprint cars tonight for the first time this year on Thunder, and we have our own Gary and Larry Show to bring it to you. Gary Lee, our Thursday Thunder anchor. Larry Rice, the 3-time USAC champion. Take it away, guys. Talk about sprint cars.
Thanks, Dave. Hi, everybody. We have been enjoying, or is that enduring, the dog days of summer here in the Midwest. It is hot. It is humid, oppressive, sticky, but hey, it's dry, and we're going to watch some sprint cars for the first time this season.
That's right. We got rain out at Raceway Park a couple weeks ago. We haven't had a chance to see these guys, and they're really excited about this show tonight. They have done a lot to the racetrack. I talked to the drivers. They think it's much faster. A couple of them were so excited, they passed a couple of guys in hot laps. They really like that. But they also say it's a little flatter and a little slicker coming off of 4, so we might have to watch that. But everybody to a man says she's a whole lot better.
All right, if you're a race fan, if you're a sprint car driver, this is the fat part of the season. A lot of big races, a lot of big purses.
Doesn't get much better than that. We got the Knoxville Nationals and the big one coming up real quick.
And, of course, last night, the USAC Stars ran at Eldora. It was a wild night. Here are the highlights. Strange things happened under a full moon at the Eldora Speedway last night. Tim Clark kicked off a wild night of flipping with his violent ride in heat race number 1. Fortunately, Clark escaped injury. Now, Dave Darlin had a similar experience in the next heat in the same spot. Darlin was taken to nearby Coldwater Hospital for a precautionary checkup. In fact, he was released and returned to the racetrack later in the evening. Watch the white car of Terry Pletch at the start of the feature. Pletch jumped to start and then touched wheels with Byron Reed. Pletch hit the wall and collected the 95 car of Trey House. 3 other cars then piled up behind House. Pletch was eventually hospitalized but later released. Race leader Byron Reed was trying to hold off Jack Hewitt when Tony Stewart slowed on the front stretch. While Stewart slowed, Hewitt passed the lead, but Stewart's slowing car brought out the yellow, and Reed kept the top spot. On lap 18, Brad Marble, Trey House, and Kevin Doty were battling for position when Doty and Marble touched wheels in turn 1. House hit Marble and then flipped. A huge pileup ensued that took out a third of the field. Now we want to show you the replay. Watch all the cars on the low side. First, you'll see the initial contact and the cars flipping. Now watch the white number 6 of Billy Rose get into it on the low side as he comes into your picture. There is Rose. And now the number 95 of Mark Casella, and getting upside down, the blue 17 of Rusty McClure, and Tony Elliott escapes on the low side. A third of the field wiped out in that crash. On the restart, Hewitt never caught Reed, who held on to pick up his first national USAC Sprint Car victory. Now the points going into this evening's competition.
Yeah, Tony Stewart's leading, Doug Coletta right behind him, Eric Gordon, and Jack Hewitt has made a big advance in the last few weeks with all these good finishes that he's had. Here are the second 5. Mark Casella's here tonight. He had quick time last night. Billy Rose and Jason McCord has a chance to win here tonight, too.
Now, it's not uncommon to run Eldora one night and come over here to Winchester about an hour away to run the next day. But, you know, what's the psyche like for a race driver after all the carnage last night?
Well, you know, race car drivers are really unique human beings. They can come here and they concentrate so hard on what they've got to do here tonight. Doesn't make any difference what happened last night. Tonight, right here, right now, that's all that counts.
Yeah, but there's one element, Dave. Don't forget, we still have a full moon. You know what happens.
Bet on it being wild. Sprint cars are the feature attraction tonight. They'll be ready for their first heat race in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will show you that incredible midget main event from Indianapolis Raceway Park last Wednesday night. It's Thunder. We're here. We're live. We're happening, and we'll be back right after this.
For you Thunderheads that like to keep tabs on qualifying, the USAC Loctite Sprint Cars, new track record, Kenny Irwin, 123.6 miles an hour. Tony Stewart was second fast. He leads the points. Jim Mahoney third, then Chet Phillip, Eric Gordon, and Andy Michener, which means that they all transfer to the feature. Andy Michener would start up on the pole.
On the pole with Eric Gordon alongside. Those 6 will be inverted, of course, as they always do in USAC, inverting the fastest 6 qualifiers of the night.
Front row of our first heat race, Kevin Thomas and Jeff Bloom, 57 and 6X. In the second row, Brian Tyler in 0. Tim Cox will occupy the cockpit of number 40. And then it's Brad Armstrong and Jason McCord in number 4 in 99. And the fourth row will have Chet Phillip in 77. And your fast qualifier with the new track record, Kenny Irwin, in the Black Wind 69 car. And I tell you what, there's a very proud driver out there that's starting outside the front row. Jeff Bloom, who's been around for a lot of years, has 3 daughters. He said if I had a son, he'd be pushing me out of the cockpit and he'd be driving. Look at that. He's now a proud grandpappy. There is Morgan, and she's less than a week old.
6 days old.
That is the daughter of his daughter, Amy.
Morgan Lindsay Bloom Bewley. Her name's bigger than she is at this point.
Well, obviously, he's a pretty proud papa right now, and but it's time to go racing and focus on this racetrack.
Well, that's right. And, you know, Jason McCord back there in that number 4 car, he's done a very, very good job with that Payless car. He's, you know, he's a relatively young guy that we haven't seen a lot. But this kid has done a tremendous job, especially on the pavement in this race car. He's struggled a few times on the dirt, but with the pavement, he's done a very good job in that race car this year.
In the Block 99, Brad Armstrong took a sabbatical for a while because he was simply out of money to run the car. It was a family-owned operation, so it's nice to see Brad back in the cockpit.
Yeah, and he had a baby about a year ago. I saw, I think it's Shelley, called Boss, down there running around a while ago, too. So.
A lot of baby boomers
That's
now.
right, that's right.
All right, we should have the green flag the next time by, the pace car pulling off the racetrack, and the first time these drivers have had a chance to race on the new surface, the new racetrack that we've already documented. And this will be the first of 3 heat races. This will help to transfer the drivers to the main event and set their starting positions for that 30-lap feature. Well, a big jump by Bloom, and the green flag comes out. Let's see if if it stays out, we have gone over and over and over the starting procedure, and apparently it is going to stay out. Bloom has a big lead down the backstretch.
Yeah, Kevin Thomas is running in second, but he just got past, and he seems to be having a little bit of handling trouble. Kevin has not run pavement all year. This is a new ride for him, a new race car, so he's having a little bit of trouble getting that race car set up.
Well, it's very loose going in.
Yeah, he told me he had a little trouble earlier and trying to find the problems. Obviously, they didn't get it fixed.
Battle for the lead, and there is Chet Phillip.
Now that's Cox.
Tim Cox. Tim Cox, the 40 car, went by on the low side. He takes the lead as Bloom drops to a second. That's Phillip in the rather unusual nose thin car right there, running second on the left of your screen.
That's Brian Tyler in the zero car. I think this is Jesse Plummer's car. It's a car that I don't think he's driven a whole lot either. We see Brad Armstrong. No, that's Kenny Irwin down on the inside. Kenny Irwin, who had quick time, and you can see right there that this racetrack is a two-groove racetrack. It's not a one-groove racetrack anymore. Guys running all over the racetrack, bottom up to the top, as we see Kevin Thomas pulling into the pits down there.
Once again, the inverted start. Hand your fast. Whoa, almost contact right there as he almost got in the back of Bloom going into turn 2. Low side, real low on the racetrack. There is contact there between Bloom and Chet Phillip. Bloom in the darker car, Chet in the white 77.
Yeah, Bloom seems to be running right in the middle of the racetrack. It seems like every place they start to go around him, he ends up right in front of them.
Well, Bloom's car's not handling too well as well.
Now, he's having a little trouble there. Chet Phillip, again, that 77 car, advanced suspension special, went around. And look at Irwin. He's right on the back end of Cox right there. Really challenging. Gets high, gets low, coming off the corner, down on passage. That race car is really on a rail tonight. They've got that thing dialed in, that wins race car.
That's the Hoffman family car that's won so many times. That family has had some of the best drivers in USAC competition in the cockpit. Champions like Rich Vogler and Robbie Stanley.
And look at that. He's pulling out to a half a straightaway lead in one lap. As we look at him right here, he's already taken the checkered flag. The other guys are just coming out of 4. Cox runs second. Phillip runs third in that advanced suspension car.
So that should be a tip of what might happen coming up in the feature. Your fast qualifier with a new track record. Only 4 transfer. The rest will have to go through the semi. So once again, it was 69. Kenny Irwin, your winner. Cox in the 40 car went second. The 77 car of Chet Phillip was third. And the 4 car of Jason McCord was fourth. Those 4 will transfer. We'll have a chance to visit with our winner and then come back with heat race number 2.
Want to get a little wild? You Thunderheads know the USAC's Gold National Midget Series is wild and crazy. This is a very fast crowd, and when you run with this bunch, get ready to run close and think fast, because the action will spin your head around. This weekend, you can get close to the national midget action as the fast guys head for KC. Check out Friday night, Lakeside Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas. Saturday night across the river at Odessa, Missouri. Here's a look at the results from the first of the sprint car heat races tonight. Kenny Irwin Jr., can you say strong? He beats Tim Cox, Chet Phillip, Jason McCord, and Jeff Bloom. Here's how the pass happened. That's Cox in white, and Irwin just glued to the bottom of the racetrack with a car that has already set a new sprint car track record, and that's just driving on by, using every bit of this old Winchester Speedway. They have watered the right front tire. It is steaming nicely. Maybe Kenny can tell us why they do that, but first, that's a good race car. When you set the track record and win the heat like that, you got to feel pretty confident.
Yeah, the Hoffman team's done a great job tonight. I think it's got a real strong motor, and the track configuration, how they changed it, seems to be a lot better. And I think you're going to see a lot more racing tonight.
I wanted to ask you about that. You won the first race here this year. This place has changed twice since then, but it looks to me like it's a pretty racy joint again, eh?
I think they got it back to how it was without the bumps, and I mean, it seems to be great.
Why do they squirt water all over that right front when you pull into victory lane?
Because we're heating the right front up too much. It's got a little push in it, and so they're trying, that'll probably be the tire we run in the feature. So they're trying to cool it down and put it through a heat cycle, so it'll hopefully run 30 laps at the feature.
Scientific stuff from the first heat winner, Kenny Irwin Jr. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more. Congratulations. We are following the Thunder and Lightning division of USAC Sprint Cars tonight live on Thursday Thunder, and we'll be back with heat race number 2 right after this timeout.
look at that, a full moon. You know what happens when we have a full moon. These guys get crazy.
It's always crazy when it gets like that. So let's cross our fingers and hope it's not too bad.
All-time sprint car feature wins. Tom Bigelow has won the championship. He's also won 52 times in competition. Larry Dixon, who is also retired, 45. Pancho Carter, not active in sprint cars at 42. Gary Bettenhausen, 40. And Jack Hewitt climbing ever so closer at 38. We want to say hi to Gary Bettenhausen because he is rehabbing that arm and says, tell the race fans I shall return. I'll be back in a race car next year or a year after, whatever, I'm going to be back.
And there's definitely nobody more determined in this world than Gary Bettenhausen, believe me.
Want to give you an update quickly, Dave, before we go back to you, that today Stan Fox was released from the rehab center in Indianapolis. His wife, Jean, drove him back to Janesville, Wisconsin in the family van. That is tremendous news.
Absolutely terrific. It's unbelievable. I hope he's getting a chance to watch us.
Dave?
Interesting development down here in the pits. We've talked about the asphalt that they've laid here. It is brand new, fresh asphalt, and it's chunking up a little bit. Actually, it's just the, what do you call it? The rocks in pavement. I don't know what they call that. Anyway, that stuff's tearing up, digging out a little bit like a dirt track up on the top. So what does Glenn Nibel do, that old fox? He went in and grooved the outside of the right rear tire like a dirt track tire for Tony Stewart, concerned a little bit about traction and wanting to give Tony every opportunity to get to the front.
A lot of savvy right there.
You call those things marbles, Dave, and if you get in them, you're in big trouble.
That's Tice Carlton and Ron Kohler in the front row. In the second row, we have Trey House and Peter Casalino. In the third row, Greg Staub inside, outside Mark Casella. Rounding out the field, Eric Gordon, and your second quick qualifier, Tony Stewart, in number 20.
See that Simpson sticker on there? Saw Bill Simpson down there running around a while ago. He is really laughing and smiling, having a great time. He's been in the news a little bit lately, though.
Yes, he has. There's the green flag. We ride with two cars, in fact. We have two cars in the race with cameras. Oh, look out! Contact right there. One of the cars with the camera slides to a stop in the infield. That is Mark Casella.
That was Mark Casella that we were riding with him. He got up over a wheel. It looks like Eric Gordon is the other car involved.
We're looking at Peter Casalino was directly in front of him on the start. Peter also has a camera mounted. There's a look at the number 28 car of Eric Gordon, a two-time, make that three-time runner-up in sprint car competition.
What was it you were talking about, the full moon? You did have to say that right before this.
No, I think journalistically we have to tell the folks we have a full moon and things get squirrely when we have a full moon.
Let's take a look at this from the up-top cameras. We see right here, it's Eric Gordon down on the inside, Mark Casella in the red car on the outside. As they're coming off the corner, another car slides up in front of Gordon. He moves over right into Casella. Bam! I think that was Greg Staub in that car on the bottom. Eric Gordon moved up. He hit Casella. Neither one of them really had any place to go. It was just a racing accident. Right here you see the middle car. That's Eric Gordon. Staub makes a little bit of a wiggle. He bumps the left front of Gordon. Gordon bumps the side of Casella, and they're both in big trouble, and those race cars are hurt.
Well, I'm wondering if we can see it again. Watch Casalino in this car right here, the greenish-yellow car. Now, does he make a move first before?
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Greg Staub got hit. He got hit before anybody else got into him. Good observation, Gary Lee. Let's take another look at this. There's three yellow cars right there together. And it's Peter Casalino in that first yellow car. He comes down on Staub, hits Staub's right front. Staub has to slow up. Gordon hits him. It was just a chain reaction. Once Casalino hits the left front of poor old Greg Staub, everybody else is in deep
We've been
trouble.
watching slow motion. This is in real time. Now listen and watch.
Believe me.
Are those cameras under warning?
Well, I don't know, but I tell you what, he took a hard ride. He didn't get to see it all because the camera lost a little bit of contact there while it was bouncing and bumping around. But
well, I'm wondering, Eric stays in the cockpit. Well, no, he has fuel dripping back here. I thought maybe he had some idea of getting restarted.
And he has a wheel that's not on the race car. That's the big problem.
That could hamper him on a restart. It really could. But he's okay. All the drivers are okay, and we remain under yellow because of that right after the start of our second heat race. But we tell you we're live from the Winchester Speedway in East Central Indiana. We're coming right back.
Mark Casella's race car beaten and battered here. A little concerned about the insurance on the camera. I'm more concerned about the condition of the driver. You're okay, eh?
Yeah, I'm fine. My neck's got a little pull where I hit the wall pretty hard, but other than that, I feel pretty good.
What happened? We couldn't see much from the camera after the camera hit the wall. From your view, what happened?
I don't know. I was on the top, and everyone's racing for position. All I saw was a yellow car get into me, and the rest was history.
Now, this is not the television debut that you had planned to make here tonight, right?
No, we wanted to come here and run decent. We were 8th quick time, wanted to come and run fairly well and just finish and get a little exposure. And you can't win these things on the first lap.
All right, that's Mark Casella. He's okay. Unfortunate way to start the show here from heat race number 2. They're back out there. We'll be ready to go green in a moment.
Well, of course, Mark is a veteran dirt tracker, which is trying to get more experience on the pavement.
Well, he's a rookie this year. He's leading the rookie standings in the sprint cars this year. He gave me his T-shirt. I think he gave one to you, too, earlier. It says the West Virginia Wild thing on it. And I guess that's kind of his name, but he really wasn't that wild there in that situation. It really wasn't his fault. He was just a victim of circumstances, and it's a tough break for him because the kid has looked really good in the sprint car this summer.
Billy's little brother.
That's right. Billy Casella. A lot of longtime fans will remember him.
Hey, remember next week, Thunderheads. Join us at Raceway Park back in Indianapolis for the USAC Skull Midgets. And, of course, don't forget about Bob Jenkins and Speed Week, Friday nights, 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 on the Pacific Coast. All the happenings in motorsports during the weeks. We're still cleaning up the fracas on the backstretch.
Well, tonight's sponsor of the USAC Sprint Car program here is Engine Armor, home base in Indianapolis. Special engine treatments for all types of vehicles. So that's one of the longtime sponsors here at Winchester Speedway. Want to say hello to them.
All right, and as we clean off the backstretch and get the guys lined back up, we can tell you that we're working on heat race number 2. We'll have 3 heat races, the semi and the 30-lap main event here at Winchester. Back live at Winchester in Winchester, Indiana. The CarQuest Cage Cam riding now with Peter Cozzolino. He'll start outside the second row. Complete restart. We did not get 1 lap in. We're about to go green as they work off the 4th corner down the front stretch. There is the green flag. You're looking at the 2 cars up front, Tice Carlson, 71, and Ron Kohler. And there goes Trey House on the inside of the yellow number 95. We have lost 3 cars in that first lap melee. We're now racing 5 cars to the 4 transfer positions.
And Tice Carlson's got a V6 in that car. I've not seen him run that V6 in that car before, so he must be a new deal for him. But he jumped right out in the lead with Ron Kohler hanging on to second, and Cozzolino's in third.
There's a look at Stewart with the grooved right rear on his number 20. And keep in mind that in qualifying earlier, Tice Carlson had some trouble negotiating the 4th corner. Actually got up into the wall, but only minimal damage to the race car.
Yeah, Trey House is pulled into the pit, so now it's a 4-car race. All 4 of these cars will make the features. We see Cozzolino trying to figure out how he's going to get around, and Stewart gets around him down on the bottom side coming through 4.
Well, Stewart was the 2nd fastest qualifier. Kohler had some trouble negotiating turn 2, so gingerly Stewart pulls to the inside, makes the nice textbook pass, goes on by for 2nd position, and that car number 71 still is not handling.
Well, it seems to be a little bit twitchy in the middle. I think Tony Stewart has been very careful picking his way through. Tice Carlson's running a very low groove on a racetrack. A lot of these guys running a little lower here than we've seen them run in the past. With this new pavement, it seems to be sticking and working very well on the bottom.
Well, the drivers told us with this new pavement, it was a matter of relearning this racetrack and not going back to how they ran before, but learning what the car liked on this track tonight.
And resetting up the race car. The race car is not, you can't set them up the way you've always set them up here. And keep in mind, none of these guys have run on this racetrack since this new pavement. This is the first time they've been on it at all. So they're all learning as they go along. So come feature time, there could be some guys making some big changes. Ooh, look at this. Kohler's getting real brave on the outside.
And there goes Cozzolino on the inside, and he is very squirrely coming off the corner. That car was dancing around there. Look at Kohler. He almost gets the fence. Hey, I tell you what, guys, you've got a transfer position. Just kind of cool up there and bring the car home with 4 wheels hanging on it.
There we see
checkered flag.
Stewart getting the checkered flag as these other 2 guys are battling, and Cozzolino gains 2 spots on the last lap.
Woo, well, that will...
At Bowles Chevrolet of Tony Stewart.
Once again, all 4 transfer with Stewart winning it in the Bowles number 20 for Glenn Nibel. Cozzolino went to 2nd. 3rd spot was Tice Carlson and Ron Kohler took the 4th spot, and all 4 of those will transfer. But we have a great crowd here on a hot, humid night in East Central Indiana. We'll take this break on the Thunder and come back with heat race number 3.
Tony Stewart, heat 2, and a runaway over Peter Cozzolino, Tice Carlson, Ron Kohler, and Trey House. And as we come to victory lane, there are the cuts in the tires right there. They're like a dirt track tire. These guys are sharp. Now, Larry Rice, those things aren't called marbles until after they tear them up and leave them on the racetrack. I don't know what they're called when they're actually in the blacktop. Tony Stewart couldn't care less. He cares that he won the heat race going away. That car was really working. Tell me about it.
Oh, it's nice tonight. You know, this track's finally racing enough to where you can move around on it. You know, the Holdermans and everybody that's been working on the track, they've done a great job. They finally got it to where it needs to be, and this is a great fast track now.
And obviously with the point leadership in the sprint car division and a very tight point battle, you got to be looking to that main event and maybe feeling a little pressure. It's always better to lead than follow in both races and point standings, but still the heat's on to do well here tonight, isn't it?
Well, I like to be the chaser, not the chasee. I'd rather them have to worry about me chasing them down than me, you know, than the other way around. But you know, I think Kenny Irwin's the guy we really got to watch tonight. He was real fast qualifying, and our car, we've got a miss in the motor right now, and as soon as we get that cleared up, I think we'll be about as fast as he is. So I think it'll be between him and I.
So it's a 2-man race tonight, eh?
I think so. I think we got what it takes to keep up with him tonight. You know, he's been real fast here and at Raceway Park qualifying, and in the race, we seem to hold our own with him. So, you know, we weren't that far off of him tonight. Maybe we can get a jump on him tonight.
All right, Tony Stewart and Kenny Irwin Jr. look for a 2-man battle tonight. This is going to be good. Let's get topside for heat 3.
Thunderheads from Chillicothe, Ohio. Not a very long drive from where we are this evening. Lineup for heat race number 3, Tony Elliott, Mike Blake comprise row number 1. Then it's Dewitt Hewitt from Troy, Ohio. Jack Hewitt and Bill Rose in row 2. The 3rd row, Doug Coletta, last year's sprint champion alongside Andy Michner. And the 4th row, Jim Mahoney, the 3rd quick qualifier this evening. I'll tell you what, the hottest driver on the USAC Sprint Circuit right now is that guy right there in number 63. Jack Hewitt has been on a tear, but you know what? Although we saw him win at Richmond, he rarely runs the pavement.
No, but he's been doing a great job. Look at this, 38 sprint car victories, 18 Silver Crown victories. I can remember one year he didn't lose a race all year long. National Midgets, he's got 5, and he's won 5 of the last 10 sprint car races. He ran 2nd last night, and like you said, he doesn't run a lot of pavement. Boy, the last couple times out, Richmond and at Raceway Park, he was fast until he blew an engine.
Well, look at the back of the pack there, Larry. I do believe that's Mr. Gordon.
Yes, it is. That was a team car. Tony Elliott qualified that race car, but after Gordon had trouble, obviously the teammate has to give it up because Gordon is in the points race, and he needs to get in the feature race.
So they didn't just add a wheel tire, they put him in the backup car.
Now that is the backup car. That's the one that Tony Elliott qualified. That's the reason.
Car.
That's the reason Hewitt has moved up to the pole. Everybody has moved forward 1 position. Hewitt 2nd row to the 1st, and Gordon will have.
That is also a 6-banger, is it not? Hewitt has a 6-banger forward power plant in that white 63 car, and he brings them off the corner. The green flag flies, and we are underway. The 33 heat races here at Winchester. Hewitt has the lead on the low side. Moving up to 2nd is Doug Coletta.
That's Mike Blake in that orange car. Started outside, but he's getting past pretty quick. That's Mahoney that jumps into 3rd place.
From the back of the pack up to 3rd, 1 lap. He is on the fly, the Johnny Vance car. Mahoney out of Illinois, the car out of Ohio. And now you've got a battle for the lead shaping up. Look, Coletta on the inside, motors on by.
Coletta really seems to have that thing glued to the racetrack. He's just as straight as a string coming off the corner, but Hewitt's...
well, Hewitt's driving Hewitt style. That's dirt tracking.
Yeah, he's having a little bit more trouble keeping that thing straight. And, you know, it's a lot tougher when you're wiggling here than it is when you're wiggling anywhere else, believe me.
There's the...
oh, look out. He got up there. He doesn't give up, though. He tries to get back under him after he loses the spot.
Yeah, but when Jack Hewitt runs pavement, there's never a question about tire compound. Take the hardest granite tire you've got and stick it on the right rear for Hewitt.
Look at Eric Gordon. He's come all the way up. He's in, 4th position now. 5th position right now. That's Mike Blake in the orange car running in 4th. He's trying, that's the transfer spot that he's trying to get into.
Well, that's the 4th spot they're battling for right now. Blake continues to ride in 4th. 5th is Gordon.
Gordon is really working on him. Mike Blake's a little bit wiggly. Here he goes down to the bottom, gets all sideways, but pulls up in front of him. He's got the transfer spot if he can hang on.
Well, course, he was very, very out of control coming down on the bottom because the track flattens out just a bit. He really had to climb on and hang on to it.
Billy Rose in the white number 6 car now trying to get past Blake so he can try to get up there and challenge for that transfer spot. And Andy Michener in that black number 2 back there is back.
There's the white flag. We'll have one more lap for your leader.
Billy Rose on the inside. Yep, you can't get too low in this racetrack. I mean, it still flattens out down there, but where it gets lighter, it's a little bit flatter down there than it is. You almost have to stay where it's black. That's the reason they're running. As the checker flag comes out.
And still that battle at the back of the pack does not matter whether they're in a transfer position or not. They're still battling for whatever position they can garner before the checker flies across the nose of the race car. That win went to Coletta, 22 car of Doug Coletta. Doug elected not to put the number 1 on the nose after he won the title last year.
There's a case where Coletta was so far in front he never got on TV. He probably won't be too happy about that, but he was just flying. He was gone.
So Coletta won it, and Mahoney was second, Hewitt was third, and fourth was Gordon. So those 4 will transfer. The rest will go through the semi, and of course that will be coming up momentarily from Winchester. Results from heat race number 3. Doug Coletta, defending national champion, takes the victory over Mahoney. Jack Hewitt, Eric Gordon, they all transfer. Mike Blake finishes 5th. He has to go through the semi. And here is the pass by Gordon for that 4th and final transfer position, a bit hairy on the low side.
And he gets way down to the flat, gets real sideways, but he slides up right in front of Blake. Did a nice job, but he hasn't driven that car tonight until right in that race. So he did a nice job.
But he has a 4th and final transfer spot. He'll be in the feature. And standing by now in victory lane, let's talk to the guy that won that event.
I tell you what, Doug Coletta didn't just win it. He killed him out there, but that's not the entire story. Check out that left front on that automobile as he deals with the interesting new racetrack situation here. You want to see the spin or not?
It doesn't really matter much. I'm still going to have to start in the same spot. But the Connie Coletta American International machine's running pretty good. I got it a little loose right there in qualifying. It kind of screwed us up, but we're happy to still be in it and hopefully go to the front.
Oh, you didn't spin it. You saved it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was about as close as you can get coming off that turn.
Obviously, when you're racing, new racetrack, you got to find the edge. You found it. You came back, put what you learned there to work in great shape in that heat race. You beat some pretty salty guys there. Stewart stood here a minute ago and said he thought that Irwin was the man tonight. I think you got something for both of them, don't you?
Yeah, I'm hoping to go through there. I got to start probably in about the 4th or 5th row, but I think we can come through there. Kenny will be tough, and there's a handful of guys, Tony and Eric. I know he's had a mishap there, but he's always tough, and just a lot of the guys, so it'll be interesting.
Talk to me about passing now. You got a lot of people to pass. It looks to me like there's plenty of room to do that with the repaving that they've done here.
Yeah, they've done a good job. It sure makes it nice being able to pass. It's user-friendly again, and that's the way I liked it.
All right, go get it, man. That's Doug Coletta, runaway winner in the 3rd heat race. We got a 3-man shootout shaping up for the main event. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more. We're live. We're doing the Thunders thing on a Thursday night from Winchester. Back live at Winchester, the iCar Modifieds are supporting the USAC Loctite Sprint Car Series here this evening, and they're on the racetrack right now as we take a quick break here and get that 30-lap main event for the sprint cars set up. But, of course, our special interest would be in midgets and sprints, and boy, this is a monster week for both midgets and sprints. Want to take you first out to Belleville, Kansas, and the legendary Belleville Nationals. Billy Boat's win streak continues. Here's Gary Lee.
Saturday night's main event was postponed due to rain, and for only the 2nd time in Belleville Nationals history, the feature was run in the afternoon. The weather conditions were as hot as Billy Boat, who added Friday's prelim win to a record 8 straight Western States victories. Boat started from the outside front row position in the scheduled 40-lap feature and quickly pulled away from pole sitter Dave Strickland to take the lead. Boat had the field covered with the exception of teammate Richard Griffin, who nearly got by Boat in turn 4, but Griffin got held up by the slower car of Fred Teagarden Jr. The dry, slick track conditions created tire wear problems for several drivers, including Jay Drake and defending champion Kevin Doty. Dan Drynan pitted to change tires, but experienced a problem when the car fell off the jack. Drynan's problems were compounded when race officials penalized him for changing tires that were not flat. Drynan finished a disappointing 18th. The number of flat tires forced race organizers to shorten the race to 35 laps. The decision, however, had no effect on Boat, who sailed to his first Belleville Nationals championship. John Heidenreich was second. Then came Dave Strickland, Robbie Flock, and Corey Kruzman. Well, Larry Rice, there have been some rumors that Boat is using about a $50,000 high-tech engine from Gertie. You know, if that's the case, we have to do something to limit the cost of these racing engines in midget competition.
Well, you know, I don't know. John Lawson, the guy who owns his race car, certainly wants to win as bad as anybody in this business. I don't have any idea what he paid for the engine, but I know that Earl Gertie built it, and he builds fast ones, whether they're that expensive or not. I don't know, but he was very happy to win that race. He had never won it before. All the things that Earl Gertie's won, and he'd never won the Belleville Nationals. I might also mention that Boat and the guy who finished second, Heidenreich, were the only two guys that did not blow tires. Dave, you got somebody down there?
We're getting ready to talk about sprint cars, guys, because this is a big week in sprint car racing. Got the historical big one, paying $100 grand over at Eldora, and that's this weekend. And then next weekend, the Knoxville Nationals. So let's check out what's been happening at Knoxville over in Iowa. Bob Jenkins has the rundown on the highlights.
We begin with some heat race action as the field heads through turn one. Fifth fastest qualifier Brett Anthill makes contact with another car and flips hard. Despite losing his wing and some other pieces, Brent is okay. Another scary moment occurred as the field was coming down to take the green for the feature. That's Jerry Riker Jr., who hops a wheel and endos down the front stretch. Despite having a stiff neck and being a little groggy, young Reichert was okay. The second attempt to start the race was successful, with the 86 machine of pole sitter John Carney grabbing the early lead from Skip Jackson and Randy Smith. A few laps later, trouble for Carney. A broken injector caused him to slow, enabling third place Johnny Herrera to move from third to first in one fell swoop. Herrera held on the rest of the way to take the win, establishing him as a force to be reckoned with during the upcoming Amoco Knoxville Nationals.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. So a sprint car racer could win $200,000 in the next 2 weekends if he's got his act together. So whose name pops into my mind? Oh, let's see. Tom Neiman with a report on the Kinzer family, because, of course, Steve will be the favorite.
For more than a decade, Steve Kinzer had been the king of sprint car racing, and his chief mechanic had always been his uncle, Carl Kinzer. And for years, Steve and Carl, nephew and uncle, had a great relationship. Now, Mark Kinzer is Carl Kinzer's son, who was in high school when Steve and Carl started racing, and Mark says his family never really wanted him to race.
They didn't want me to do the gypsy lifestyle. They'd rather me had a normal job and a normal life, and I always wanted to race and had that desire, and at one time I crashed all the family vehicles, and I guess they just thought they better get me off the streets and on the track.
And when Mark started, he just took for granted that it would always be Steve and Carl together and him by himself.
We did race out of the same garage, but when we get to the track, Carl would work on my car, and we'd have somebody else working on him.
The only thing that I really ever got jealous of Steve of was probably that he knew my dad better than I did. The years that they went racing, probably 5 or 6 years, I didn't see my dad probably a month in all those years.
So for all those years, it went on like that, until Steve quit sprints last year and took a shot at NASCAR.
And when Steve went down south, I actually thought that my dad would retire and take some time off.
But Carl wanted to run with his son. But he made it clear that blood is not thicker than motor oil.
The crew members, me, my wife, everybody that's around our team has got to give 100%, or he'll just tell you to leave.
I explained to him when we started, you know, if he can't keep the thing close enough to front, why, I either quit or put somebody else in it. So we've been getting along pretty good.
I think it's great that they're racing together, and I'm sure that there've been little hard feelings over a few things. Me, Har, and Scott.
Scott is Scott Gergen, who had always been Carl's #1 assistant, and whom Steve had hired away from Carl when Steve returned from NASCAR. But while there may have been and may still be some hard feelings between the Kinzers, for whatever reason, it can always be explained like this.
Family's family and racing's racing.
All of us have picked up a lot of knowledge from Carl over the years, you know what I mean? And that's helped us a lot. There's nobody any better and any smarter than he is, and he's the best there is in the business.
All right, thank you, Tom Neiman. Look for the Kinzers to pick up some cash this week. You're looking at the back of Mark Casella's race car. We talked to him a moment ago after he was involved in that first lap tangle in the heat. He broke off a bolt in the left rear hub. They've drilled it out. They're trying to get a new one in there, and they're hustling because the Sprint Semi is up and coming. And even though he crashed in the heat, he is eligible to run the Semi if they can get it fixed. So it's a scramble in the Casella pits, and that Sprint Semi is coming up when we come back to Winchester.
Greenville, Ohio says, hi, Tampa Bay. I was in Tampa Bay, Larry, on Monday, Tuesday. It was hot and humid down there as well. Plenty of sunshine, but a little more water and beach activity down there than what we have in Indiana. We're here in Winchester, Indiana, and hey, it's fair time, county and state. And the Skoll Midget True Value Silver Crown cars at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield on Saturday, August 19th. I'll be over there to call that one on the PA. Love to go to Springfield. And, of course, on Sunday, August 20th, the Loctite Sprint cars at now the reopened Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana.
Yeah, both those racetracks put on some great shows.
All right, David.
I got a quick bit of news for you guys. I just heard this today. Jacques Villeneuve is going to Formula One next year. And my first question was, which team? You know, he tested a Williams last week, ran pretty good. But apparently the announcement that he made to his IndyCar team did not include the information of where he will be going next year. Everybody wants him because he's such a hot dog. Villeneuve is definitely going to Formula One next year. He will not be in IndyCar in 1996, but the final word on which team, don't have that yet. Top of the show, we showed you some wild dirt track sprint car action. Well, we're going to take you over to Kokomo, Indiana last Sunday night. It was wild. Bob Jenkins was there, and he's got the highlights.
His heat, the car of Corey Smith does a complete endo. Amazingly, Smith was able to continue on and in the process received a rousing ovation. In another heat, Bill Rose and Gary Fisher were battling for the lead when behind them this huge flip occurred. Russ Freeland was the pilot of the flying machine. Fortunately, neither he nor any of the spectators was injured. Finally, the feature. Kevin Thomas in the white number 3 leads the 20-car field into the first turn. Dueling with Mike Mann was the red number 33 of Derek Davidson, who'd started mid-pack and was on the move, eventually finishing second. Again behind them, Gary Fisher accidentally runs over a corner marker and flips. A tough evening for the fast qualifier. Following the restart, Thomas continued to hug the low groove and was able to maintain his lead over Bill Rose, Davidson, and Dave Darland. And at the finish, it was all Thomas who, in addition to the $3,000 first-place money, received this lane recliner from race co-sponsor Kurt Earlywine.
Looks kind of comfortable as we take a look at the starting lineup for our semi this evening. Andy Michner and Mark Casella occupy the front row. In the second row, Brad Armstrong and Greg Staub. In row 3, Bill Rose in number 6, Brian Tyler in number 0. In the fourth row, Trey House in 95 and Mike Blake in 81. Jeff Bloom in 6X, Kevin Thomas in 57, and I don't think they got the 95 car together. That would be the 96 car of Casella.
I think they're still down there working on it. They're still thrashing, but I just don't think they're going to have quite enough time to get it ready to go. Yeah, it looks like they've pretty well given up on it at this point. There just wasn't enough time. I mean, it doesn't sound like much to replace left rear hub, but that thing was hit pretty hard. They had to check over a lot of other things besides just put that left rear hub on.
Well, we have 12 drivers so far in the feature, which I think would take, 8 from this heat race or the 7.
Right.
So the top 8 will transfer for our 30-lap, 20-car main event. And on the pole, Andy Michner, who also had some trouble in qualifying this evening.
Well, yeah, and Andy didn't seem to be have much of a handle on the race car in the heat race either. He started in the back, and he pretty well hung in back there. Didn't pass very many cars, so it's going to be interesting to see. On the other hand, a guy like Trey House might have had enough time to get his act together a little bit. He had problems and pulled out of his heat race, and might have a chance to pull back through.
Well, the Grand Prix of Hungary, speaking of Formula One, coming your way on Sunday, 7:50 a.m. on the East Coast, 4:50 a.m. Pacific time. And later that afternoon here on ESPN. The Bud at the Glen. There's a good look at Jeff Gordon. And, of course, that's about the only race he didn't lead this year was when they were at Watkins Glen earlier this season. So let's see if he can lead a lap up there and pick up the 5 bonus points.
Yeah, you know, Roger Lennon wanted to also mention that MAB Paints and Prime Star Cable Network is here tonight. They're a couple of their major sponsors have been helping them out here at Winchester Speedway.
All right, we are about to turn them loose. Wally Shear looks them over. The green flag is held in a very lackadaisical position, which means, boys, we ain't going to go racing this time.
Michener just never got on the throttle. Everybody behind him decided that was the right thing to do. They never even tried to go around him, and obviously there can't be a start when that whole situation takes place. You know, that was a good move on the part of Brad Armstrong and the guys who were following Michener not to pull around him, because when the whole road's back there, you got no choice but to start it over again.
All right, there's the furrow flag. Wally Shear from Dayton, Ohio, which is only about, what, a 45-minute drive from where we are tonight in Richmond. Richmond, or I should say Winchester, is only, what, a few miles from the Indiana-Ohio state line.
Not too far. While we got a second while we're waiting for this race to start, I want to say happy birthday to Wally Pancratz. He's going to be 50 years old. So I'm just want to say happy birthday. I think it's not till next week sometime, but first chance we got, so there you go. Have a good time on your birthday, Wally.
Now, you're not that far behind, are you, Rice-Roney? But he's not even responding.
Yep.
All right, there's the green flag. We are now racing, and Greg Staub out of Cincinnati, Ohio, gets the jump in the yellow 44 car, takes the advantage on the back stretch, but look at this. Look at Michener on the inside.
Michener jumped right back underneath him, coming off the corner, took the lead back from him. That was a nice move by Michener. He didn't get a very good start, it didn't look like, and Staub just jumped away, but he really looks much, much faster in this race than he did earlier in his heat race.
Top 8 transfer, and it's Brad Armstrong back in the 3rd spot as they're beginning to pick up the throttle now. And obviously, these guys learned something from the heat race. They can make some adjustments to the chassis to get the car more comfortable for the semi.
Well, exactly. They've learned a whole lot in those heat races. Right here we're seeing Billy Rhodes as he's working hard on Tyler, trying to get around him. And it's, you know, they want to gain every spot. They want to get the race cars working as well as they can here in the semi-feature because there's only one left.
Well, Bill Rose comes out of Plainfield, Indiana. Here is a guy that's made a nice transition to pavement because all of his early years in sprint car racing were on dirt. He had to hang on right there as he comes off low off the second turn and had to gather it back in.
He got real sideways coming off that corner, and he did a nice job getting that race car straight and not losing any positions in the process.
8 guys will transfer to the main event, and because of a time parameter, we may be cutting this event to 6 laps. So we're going to have to watch Wally Shear. We're not sure if it's going to go the full complement of laps. We're going to cut it short because of time. But well out in front now, the black number 2 of Andy Michener. Michener had some trouble in qualifying, had some trouble again in the heat race, but has everything well under control here in the semi.
And Billy Rhodes still trying to get around Brian Tyler. Those 2 cars are running 4th and 5th in this race, and in reality, there are only 9 cars left in the semi, so all of them except one are going to make the feature race anyway.
Little by little, these guys are getting a handle on this new racetrack, the new pavement. A couple drivers thought maybe the turns lost some banking to the 34 degrees, so they've readjusted the chassis, and they themselves are making adjustments in their mind. Right now, we look for a pass at the very back of the pack as you see the running order. And there is Michener got almost the infield grass.
He went way down as, that was Kevin Thomas. He pulled down to the inside. He was going to come in the pits. He was having some trouble. Michener had to go way down to the bottom just to get around him and did a nice job knocking control.
I think maybe he held his breath there for a moment as he went by Thomas, and Thomas heads back to the pit area. Thomas, of course, is the professor of sprint car racing at the sprint car school at Lincoln Park Speedway during the week.
And look at this. Look at Tyler and Rhodes. They're catching up with Brad Armstrong, who's in 3rd position, and Greg Staub, who's running in 2nd. Tyler, who started out in this Jesse Plummer car, looked a little bit squirrely, but as the laps have gone on, as the night has gone on, he's got much, much faster.
The white flag has just been displayed for your leader, and of course he has a straightaway, almost a half lap lead now over that gaggle of cars. They're running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they go down the backstretch on the final lap. The checkered flag out for your leader. There is Andy Michener. He led him to wire, and you look back in traffic now as once again the 8 cars on the track will transfer because The number 57 of Kevin Thomas did pull in before the conclusion of this race. So these 8 guys will transfer to the main event. There's a look at the 95 car of Trey House, who was runner-up in the sprint car division last season. And there is Andy Michener, and Andy will also be eligible for our Wins Challenge money. If he can win the feature, an extra $1,000 will go. And look at this. Doug Dodaro is going to go out and attempt to break the record and set an all-time world half-mile record. We'll see if he can do it when we come back. Well, once again, track records here at Winchester. Bentley Warren, 13.9. Dan Dryden, a 14.7. And that's the old track record before Kenny Irwin set the new one today at 14.562. Doug Dodaro, who's the reigning Oswego champion, is now on the track in his Super, attempting to set an all-time world record. He has 3 laps to warm up. Then he'll have 2 laps on the clock. The green flag out? No, not this time by. I always saw some sparks. That car is as low as that car can get. And he was saying after warming up and practicing last night, it's a white-knuckle ride out there at these speeds.
Well, you know, the speeds they're running, they said they had a gun on them last night. It was 160-something miles an hour down the straightaway. That's really fast.
I think that gun was a little off. I'm not sure he was going that fast.
Once tonight, I mean, the guns they had on him tonight, he wasn't running that fast.
Right, not nearly that fast. All right, there is the first lap on the clock. Now, remember, he's trying to break the all-time track record, which is held by Bentley Warren.
13.97 seconds. So he's going to have to really hustle to beat that. Not quite.
Nope. Did not do it. And that was the second lap on the clock. So he came a long way from Mooresville, South Carolina, to attempt that this evening in the Duralube entry.
Yes, Skip and Lois Matsack owns that race car. I mean, there's people, they've won 4 races earlier this year at Oswego. So
actually, he's won 5 now. Up to date, he's 5, and he's just a couple of points out of the number 1 position in the points chase at Oswego. So doggone it, he couldn't quite do it here this evening. And the overall record by Bentley Warren still stands. The old man still has it. Man, this is the place to be for you thunderheads, because we cover everything with wheels open, with fenders or whatever, with the full moon. When you saw the Super attempt to break the record, we've seen him before on ESPN. Earlier, Larry Rice made the comparison between Sprint Car and Super.
Doug Dodaro is going to try to set a new track record here at Winchester tonight in Skip and Lois Matsack's Super Modified. I thought we ought to take a look at what the difference is between this Super Modified and the sprint cars that we normally see run here. Sprint car rules are made so that you're supposed to be able to run these sprint cars on both dirt and pavement, although that seldom happens. It's a 410 cubic inch engine. There are no airfoils allowed on these cars, and the driveline and engine have to be mounted nearly in the center of the car. The Super Modified, on the other hand, is built specifically for pavement. It does have airfoils, both front and rear. It has a 468 cubic inch engine that is mounted on the left-hand side, along with the radiator, the driveline, and the oil tank. That gives this car a 67% weight bias to the left side. That's what makes this car 0.7 of a second faster around this racetrack than the sprint car.
And here's a look at that weapon live. How about that offset? Look at that engine sitting way over there on the left. And here is the pilot who has just had a wild ride at Winchester, Doug Dodaro. You guys made a real scramble at the last minute to try to get this thing working, picked up a bunch of time. Tell me about your ride.
Yeah, the ride, you know, last night we were here testing. We were running right up against the wall here, and when everybody came in today, I started peeling up the loose gravel and stones and putting them up against the wall, and that took my groove away. So I had to, in about 10 laps, I had to find a groove for myself. And right at the last minute here, Kenny Irwin's guys come over and told us a little something about shocks, what to do here, and we went and changed the shocks just before that run there, and went out and bonsai'd a couple laps, and the car worked. The shocks done a tremendous job for us, and it held the car down.
Let's give credit where credit is due. Somebody ran all the way to the truck to get those shocks. Who was it?
I did. Billy, on the crew here, he ran about a mile out in the woods there to our truck to get the box of shocks for us, and he got back just in time. We just got him on and went out and done the run.
You got a pretty interesting career going here. We know about your success in this thing, having won the track championship at Oswego, where these things are the big attraction. But during the week, you work on stock cars. Tell me about that.
Yeah, during the week when I'm down home down in Mooresville, I work on some Busch teams and Winston Cup teams as a fabricator down there. So it's it's a real contrast when I come back up north and climb in the Super. You know, you're from a high horsepower open wheel flyer into the stock cars, you know, and it's a big difference from week to week, and I guess the difference keeps me going and keeps me excited about both of them.
So what's the long-term, big-picture goal? Where do you want to end up in your racing career? Where are you headed?
I'd like to get back into Busch or get into a Super Truck Series right now for myself and get established in that and get going. But right now, we got to put 100% into our effort here this year. We got to come home with another track champion out of Oswego this year and make that 2 in a row. We're on 4 feature wins in a row right now there, so we got to keep giving 110% there and make sure we fulfill our duty there.
Okay, man, congratulations. Good show. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dave.
I want to run right across here real quick and say hey to Andy Michener because he won the True Value semifinal, and now he's getting ready to go out there and run that feature. So tell me real quick, you went from kind of back in the back, not going anywhere, to way out in front and gone in the semi. Did you change the car a bunch?
Yeah, we kept on changing springs all night. We spun out in qualifying, and we had a pretty good lap, but I got up a little bit high, and we spun out, unfortunately, and now we're just chasing the car, and the car felt pretty good. We were pushing off the corners. The Winco Stapleton Buick cars run pretty good, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed, do a lot of praying, and stay out of trouble, and hopefully we can get a decent finish tonight.
You can pick up an extra grand from wins in the Wins Challenge tonight if you can get up front and catch Coletta and Stewart and Irwin, who all look very, very fast. Can you do that?
I don't know. I'm going to sure try. You know, they're a really good bunch of drivers, and you know, extra grand would be nice. I'm doing a little landscaping on my house, so it's coming good. But you know, we're going to give it a whirl and do a lot of praying, and hopefully we can do pretty good.
Thanks for coming over, man. You better go get in your car, go to work.
Okay, thanks.
All right, he's getting ready for the 30-lap main event. He's only run 4 features this year in the USAC Sprint Division, but listen to the finish record: 2 seconds, a 4th, and a 6th. Don't bet against that guy getting up there and mixing it up with the big 3 that we saw through the qualifiers. Back topside, Gary and Larry.
Well, Dave, you mentioned that he's eligible for the Wins Challenge. Also eligible for the additional $1,000 should they win would be Tony Stewart and Doug Coletta. So we have drawn those 3 names out, and of course we had the big Wins Challenge of $5,000 claimed a few weeks ago at Indianapolis Raceway Park. But hey, all the Thunderheads know that we're going to give them all the action from every corner of the country or wherever they run the open wheelers. And of course, NARC runs in Northern California. Here are some highlights.
The NARC Sprint Cars kicked off 3 consecutive nights of racing last Thursday at Twin City Speedway in Marysville. Greg DeCaris started from the pole of the 30-lap feature, but Jimmy Sills got a good jump from the outside row 1 position to take the early lead. On lap 5, Sills was trying to put a lap on Bob Walker when the 2 touched in turn 3. Walker landed on the cushion while Sills suffered a flat right rear tire. DeCaris then held the lead until a lap 28 restart that followed another Bob Walker crash. Fast qualifier Randy Tyner took the low line entering turn 1 and passed DeCaris for the top spot. Tyner pulled away from DeCaris to pick up his 3rd win of the season. On Friday and Saturday, the series moved to Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico. That's Darren Howard flipping in turn 3 during Friday's 2nd heat. Howard eventually landed on his side and escaped injury. That heat ended in a photo finish between 16-year-old Tyler Walker in 35 and Lee Brewer Jr. Brewer was awarded the victory. On the last lap of the very next heat, Paul McMahon in white and Rick Martin battled to the line, with Martin narrowly picking up the win. No photo finish in the 30-lap feature as Chuck Miller led the first 27 laps and cruised to his 1st win of the season and became the 12th different winner of the 95 NARC Tour. On Saturday, the drivers staged the 2nd annual Hammer Down Wheelie Contest. Shane Scott took the $400 first prize with this wheelie down the whole front stretch. Friday's winner, Chuck Miller, was involved in this unusual incident before a heat race. Miller was able to restart and advance to the feature. Miller started on the pole for the 30-lap event and led the field into the first turn. Miller had his hands full with Brent Kading, but Kading's last lap try in the high groove wasn't enough to overtake Miller, who also had his hands full in victory lane after back-to-back wins at Chico.
I've been to a lot of motorcycle races in my life. I've seen a lot of wheelie contests. I've never seen one on 4 wheels. Hello, ESPN Ohio. Get well. Stan Fox watching tonight in Wisconsin. Thunder at the world's fastest half mile with the 30-lap feature coming up. Speed World coverage of Thursday Night Thunder has been brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life. Big thank you to the folks from CarQuest Auto Parts. They provide the cage cam for your nearest CarQuest Auto Parts store. Check it out. Dial 1-800-492-HEART. and that'll get you all the scoop. It is 30-lap feature time under the full moon, shining down on the high banks of Winchester. How about it? Thunder down under. Hey, guys, is that Australia or New Zealand? I get confused.
That's Australia, where it's winter down there, so the Thunderheads come up here and take in all the events. These guys have T-shirts on, and Larry, on the back, they have all the various racetracks where they've been on this tour, including Eldora, here at Winchester. They've been to Charlotte. They've been to Knoxville. They're seeing them all.
I think there's 14 of those guys there from Perth, Australia, and believe me, it doesn't come any farther away than Perth. Tony Giancola is a driver down there, and Wade Unger is the announcer down there at Claremont Speedway. Say hello to Con Migro for us. We raced for him a few years ago. And I'm going to tell you, Willie Kay is here from New Zealand. He's got about 15 people with him. I think we got more people from Australia and New Zealand. Nah, we don't have more. But
we also have some fans from South Africa here tonight. Can you believe that?
Well, they picked a good racetrack to come to. You don't see them this fast anywhere else in the world.
And they are watching us live right now down there in Australia and New Zealand as well. And hopefully you and I will be down there in New Zealand this winter during their racing season. Are we ready for the feature? I believe so. 30 laps, 20 cars, one onboard camera. Jason McCord and Andy Michener occupy the front row. In the second row, it's Chet Phillip and Jim Mahoney. The third row, we'll see Tony Stewart and Kenny Irwin, your fast qualifiers this evening. In row 4, Doug Coletta and Brad Armstrong. The fifth row on the inside, Greg Staub. Outside, Tim Cox. In row 6, Peter Coslino with the camera on board, Jack Hewitt. In row 7, Brian Tyler and Ron Kohler. In the 8th row on the inside, Eric Gordon. Outside, Tice Carlson. In the 9th row, Bill Rose and Mike Blake. And rounding out the field, Trey House and Jeff Bloom as you ride with Peter Coslino. This is as calm as it's going to be all evening right here.
That certainly is. Just before we get started with this feature event, I want to say offer our condolences to Kathy Albright, who works with Lindner Group. Her mom passed away this last week. I want to say hi to Eric Harrod. He's down in the Miami Burn Center. He's a young Thunderhead, 14 years old, had a little problem, and so we want to say that to those two.
As we talk about the fans with us this evening, we also say thanks and hello to Prime Star Cable Network by TCI. They have a large group here this evening. They fed us dinner earlier during their customer appreciation night. ESPN, of course, is on those channels, available from Prime Star by TCI. So we're glad to have them along.
Stewart and Irwin, those are the two guys you're going to have to watch. Stewart is in a V6. Irwin is in a V8. Sometimes he runs a V6. Tonight he's got a V8. Both of those guys were fortunate to freeze lightning in it.
Well, here they go. The green flag is out. We are underway. The Thunder for 30 laps on the hills, the high banks of Winchester Speedway. Cleanly through 1 and 2 and down the backstretch.
Looks like Chet Phillip down the inside in that white car trying to get the measure, but out in front is Jason McCord.
McCord's out in front. The good battle, though, is for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. They go side by side and nose to tail off the corner. Chet Phillip goes to 2nd. 3rd already is Kenny Irwin. He is on the fly.
Kenny Irwin has moved up. We got a car way up there pretty high. That was Brad Armstrong, got way high, but he didn't hit the fence. He hung on to it pretty good.
Cox got a little sideways there in the white 40 car. Negotiates the corner, gets the car back under him. Look again at that battle for position. That's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, nose to tail into turn 1, the 34-degree banking. Your leader again is Jason McCord. Almost touching is the 77, and Chet Phillip looks to the end. They almost make contact again.
I think he did make a little contact right there. He got down there and tried to get just a little bit too low. If you get your left side wheels down on that lighter pavement, oh, there he gets all 4 of them down there, but he can't quite pull it off.
That's the car that Chet and his brother Corey built in Indianapolis a couple of years ago, and they've had some success with that race.
They've had good success with that race car. Of course, Corey builds all the shocks, the Carrera shocks around the country for everybody. All these cars, they go to him, he rebuilds them, runs them on dynos, does all sorts of things. So he should have that part of the race car figured out. Well, right there. Close.
He gets down on the inside, but then he loses the front end, and there he almost lost the rear end.
There, he moved him up, though. That time he got up the side up, and he moved the whole race car up on the racetrack. McCord had to move up, and while they're battling, look at Tony Stewart. He's come all the way from about 7th spot up to 4th, and now then Kenny Irwin's going to have to get to the front pretty quick if he wants to keep Stewart from getting around all.
Stewart took a look coming off the corner, but did not have room to get down low, so tucked up behind Jason McCord. Now he makes the move, coming off of 4. Still could not make the pass. Now, once again, that is the V6. Looks to the inside again, coming off the corner. That's a slower car, Greg Staub, pulling to the inside.
But look at Corey Phillips up there in front. He's actually pulled out to a 4 or 5 car length lead over Kenny Irwin. We thought that, he was not going to be able to do that, but he has pulled out into a few car length lead.
Well, Corey would love to take the money, but Chet's actually driving the car.
Oh, sorry.
So Corey helped to build it, but Chet's in the cockpit. As we look back in traffic just a bit there, and there is Stewart. Stewart has pulled up behind Irwin, but look at the gap between first and second. There goes Chet Phillips under Kohler. Now you look all the way back. There is second place right there. The battle on the inside is Stewart. On the high side in the black and orange color.
Look at the right front. Look at the right front, Irwin. That thing is pushing so bad. He's flipped to the right front, clear off of that race car.
Yeah, he's backed off the pace substantially there.
When we say push, we mean it won't turn. Look at that thing. He's got that thing turned hard left. It just won't turn. He's going to blitz with the right front, and then he's going to be in big, big trouble.
Remember, he watered that tire down after that heat, wanting to use the same tire he used in the heat race. Boy, that car's just not working.
But look at the right front of Chet Phillips' car. The right front of that car is smoking as well. He's got a push condition in that thing. It doesn't want to turn. And if he blitzers that right front, then that's going to open the door for Stewart to catch him.
And there goes Mahoney on by Irwin. Remember, this is all new territory for these guys. And so they're not sure how the tire compounds will work under the stress of 30 laps.
Car on the inside, of course, is Greg Staub. He's pulled down to the inside. Chet Phillips, though, really walking away from the field at this point. And look at the right front as he comes off here. Look at the right front. No, he didn't do it that time. Maybe he's got it fixed. Maybe he found a different way to run the racetrack. But it's there it is. See it smoking right there? He's got the right front smoking, too.
We'll have the cross flags the next time by, so we'll have half the race in and half the race to go. And now maybe with the V6 a few pounds lighter, that should be to the advantage of Tony Stewart.
Well, I don't know that it's the weight. I think it's just the fact that Corey Phillips, Chet Phillips, got the thing pushing just a little bit. Obviously, Kenny Irwin had way too much push built in his race car. You can see right there that Chet's having a little bit the same trouble, and look at Stewart. He's gaining on it.
Well, he pulls up behind the Zero car.
That's Brian Tyler in the Zero car. He's caught. He's going to try to get down underneath him.
Several guys are coming in the pits. We see the 40 car of Cox, the 99 car of Armstrong, the 6 car of Bloom. So a number of guys have pulled off the racetrack, and here is the battle for the lead.
Oh, we got a
car in the wall.
Oh, another car almost hits him. That was Coletta that came by there, almost hit him.
Greg Staub is the driver involved in the yellow 44 from Cincinnati, Ohio. We have 17 laps complete, and we had a battle for the lead heating up. 17 laps are now complete. Greg Staub remains in the cockpit, but he appears to be okay, Larry.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he took a real hard hit. He went up there and banged the wall, but it didn't look nearly as hard as some of the other crashes that we've seen here earlier in the night.
Well, I think we may be able to show you this again. Watch the yellow 44 car.
He's clear down on the inside. Something broke. That thing just made a right-hand turn. Something broke on the race car. He's down there kind of staying out of everybody's way. Luckily, those 3 guys got... No, he didn't. He got hit.
He got hit right there.
Yeah, he got hit as they went by, and he just turned him right into the fence. He was down there way out of everybody's way. He really was causing nobody any trouble down there, and I don't know who that was ahead of him, but they weren't watching very closely.
Looky here. You've got Irwin in the pits. We talked about the right front, and they're going to change that right front. Irwin had been running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th position.
Yeah,
he was just smoking that right front, burning it off.
But he was 6th and going backwards real fast. Believe me, he was headed for about 15th in a hurry. And now then, you see that they've gone to those lug nuts instead of to the knockoffs to save weight. You don't have one knockoff, and it takes a long time to change a tire when you use a system like that, even though it is lighter. But you can't switch them in a big hurry like you used to be able to.
Dave?
Kenny Irwin Jr., that had to be a pretty wild ride with that loose front, that right front pushing that bad.
It was. The car's just not balanced real good, and we just got a bad push in it right now. Hopefully they're going to make some changes to the back end and get it better.
I'm going to get out of the way when they push that car off. He's going to be in a hurry. They watered it, but I don't think it grew the way they wanted it to. Bad push in the right front. They've changed the tire. He'll go back out and get what points he can, because obviously in terms of the championship, just getting points is what it's all about.
Larry, in a short sprint race, it's 30 laps. We have, what, about 13 laps to go. He goes to the back of the pack as we look at the top runners right now, but he does not go a lap down. These yellows do not count, so he'll be at the tail of the lead lap as Phillip leads it. And there's a look at the second 5 with Michener, Cozzolino. Hewitt is now in 8th, Eric Gordon and Brian Tyler. But a number of guys have pulled out, as we said earlier. So again, Irwin can pick up some points by going back out there and running.
Well, yeah, he can, and it, you know, he's going to be able to pick up several points actually if he gets that thing back out there, because he's a very, very fast race car tonight. He can pass half this field probably in the first 3 or 4 laps, especially with brand new rubber, because new tires are much faster.
Well, as they work to get Greg Stopp's 44 car off the track, I think we can show you a replay of that pass for the lead. Now, once again, your leader is the number 77 car, and there it is right there, making a move on the inside of Jason McFord. That's Chet Phillip going into 1, and he's able to hang down there.
See, he just moved him up.
And
he got up the side of him, he just moved him up, went right on by him, and took Kenny Irwin with him. And Tony Stewart tried to do the same thing, tried to get under him, but it took him a little bit longer. He couldn't quite suck through there when those other 2 guys moved him out of the way.
Now, name the only driver, now this is a little trivia for you, Larry, the only driver here this evening that is raced in the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500.
Chet Phillip.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he's on camera. I mean, way to give it away, Dave.
I tell you who's going to love watching this tape, what, 10 years from now probably, is Grace Lee Phillip, because Grace Lee turned 1 year old yesterday. That's Chet's daughter, and she's too young to appreciate what Dad is doing out there tonight, but give her a few years. He got all the big guns lined up behind him except Irwin, who had problems. Question now, can he hang on? Tony Stewart is there, Coletta is there. We're about to go green.
We are indeed. The green is out. We are racing on lap 18 of a 30-lap event, and the question is, can he hold off those heavyweights that run the sprint division all the time?
Well, I think he's going to hang on here for about 3 or 4 laps, because I don't think it's going to take that long for that right front to start heating up. No, he's not going to hang on that long. He makes it. No, yeah, he is.
Well, Irwin or Stewart had a look on the inside, elected not to try, but he stays down low, fights that car just a bit. That's the V6, number 20, the Bulls car.
Well, he's running the right groove. He's running right on the bottom. He's going to make them go around the outside, and you saw what's up there. It is marginally up around the top of the racetrack. This surface is brand new. It is breaking up just a little bit, so as long as you're on the bottom, make him go around the top, it's going to be tough for him to go around it until he starts pushing the front end. If he does.
Well, Stewart, of course, won the midget title last year, had hoped to contend for the midget, sprint, and silver crown title. He right now leads the sprint division. This could pad his lead just a bit if he can pick up the victory here this evening.
Stewart's making the right move. He's running up in the middle of the racetrack, in the middle of the corner. Watch him as he goes in here. He's going to run up real high and try to diamond down under him. That's the right way to do it. He didn't do it that time. He did it last time. But that's the right move. Chet Phillip is just too fast right now for him to make that move and pull it off.
So, of course, the diamond pattern is the pattern preferred here and at Salem in southern Indiana, where, as you say, you go up high in the corner, you just kind of turn left, drive off the corner, drive off the banking.
I'm amazed at how low the groove is on this racetrack tonight. It has moved down tremendously since they put this new pavement on, and guys are having a real tough time getting around the top.
22 laps now complete, 23 laps now complete, and you look at Doug Coletta there running in 3rd position. He's trying to close in, so Coletta has a shot at the bonus from win, $1,000 this evening, as does Stewart. But Stewart has to get around 1 more car to collect that.
Yeah, Chet Phillip is doing a masterful job. He's doing exactly what he has to do. He's running right in the fastest place in the racetrack. He's going to make Tony Stewart go above him and below him, but he's not going to let him go by him right smack in the middle of the groove.
You know, I think it's a case of being able to catch the car but not pass the car. In fact, Stewart may be a bit quicker right now than Phillip, but Phillip is making the car very wide in the groove he's running.
I really thought he would blip with the right front tire as badly as he was pushing earlier, and I really thought by now that thing would be pushing much worse than it is, but he seems to be balanced better now than he was before that yellow flag came out, and Tony Stewart may in fact have picked up just a little bit of a push or loose condition because he's not gaining much.
Well, back there at the back of that line is that black number 2. That is Jim Mahoney. He has won here before, and he now is battling for the 4th spot, trying to get under Jason McCord.
All
Look
five
at
of
this,
them.
all 5 nose to tail.
And McCord and Mahoney are both gaining on Coletta. Those 2 cars are faster faster than the front three cars right now as they're moving up behind Coletta, and Mahoney really seems to be the fastest guy on the racetrack at this point.
I don't think that Mahoney has enough time, though, in the waning laps now. They're working on lap 28.
Not much time left, but the traffic is going to help. The traffic is going to help Chet Phillips hang on to that lead. Coletta now seems to be give a big charge in the middle as the white flag comes out.
All right, last chance. Let's see what do you have. If you got the card, show them. Halfway down the backstretch. No, I don't think that Mahoney has a shot now.
Chet Phillips has done a masterful job. He drove that thing absolutely perfect, and he pulled off a win that's really not even I expected. As good as he is, as many races as he run, I really thought Tony Stewart, look at him, he's a happy man.
Well, you know, I like to see this enthusiasm. So often the driver is excited inside, but really doesn't show it externally. And I like to see that enthusiasm. I was watching the crew as you were watching him take the checker flag, and they were jumping up and down. So he did a smart job of saving that right front.
He's a very, very quiet guy. He's very unassuming. He doesn't say very much. Corey, his brother who owns the car, built the car and everything, you know, he's a little more outgoing, but these guys, really a couple of nice guys. It's a great victory for a couple of guys that don't have a lot of money and do everything themselves.
Well, of course, there was a 17-point margin between first and second. And right now, that'll be just about the same because Stewart was second and Coletta was third. And, of course, you look at a guy that has just a ton of experience in Winston Cup. He's raced Indy cars, built this sprint car with his brother.
But he's so quiet and unassuming, you know, you never hear much about him. I mean, he never gets out, he never goes to all these places, talks about what his accomplishments, but he has been a terrific race car driver.
Well, Dave, let's say what he has to say about that victory.
Well, we'll see how pumped up he is right now because he is in victory lane at Winchester. Tough old racetrack, but Chet Phillips drove it like a master tonight. Congratulations, man. That was great.
Thanks. I owe everything to Corey and my girlfriend and my little girl. They all got a lot of patience with me, and my dad got, of course, Loctite's helped us a lot. I don't know, the series has been struggling a little bit, but they stick with us, and this track is so good. I always liked Winchester, and I really like it now.
You found a great groove down there on the bottom, but it looked like it might be costing you a little bit at right front. Looked like it was smoking good before the yellow. Did the yellow actually help you?
The yellow killed us, actually. I made a couple of adjustments, and I made it worse. I must have turned the knob the wrong way. And but then the tires came in, and I knew, like when he gave me 5 to go, I can hang on. I can do it.
I heard a story that you were actually trying to sell this car a couple of races ago. A, is that true? And B, is it still for sale?
Yeah, it's still for sale. I don't want to sell it too bad right now, but it is for sale. Yeah.
So you like this racetrack? You think they did a good job with the paving? Were you surprised to see the groove down on the bottom and be successful in running down there, or did you kind of anticipate that when you took a look at the place when you came in today?
No, I thought the groove was still going to be up high. And Irwin's running down low and a couple other guys running down low, and I don't like to run high, so it worked out good for me.
Congratulations, Chet Phillips. That was terrific. The big guns were all here. Stewart, Coletta, Irwin. He thumped them all. Chet Phillips wins a thriller in 30 laps at Winchester. Let's go topside and get the results.
Well, of course, Larry, you could hear the emotion in his voice as he talked to Dave down there, and we're going to take a look at the top 10 right now as once again Chet hangs on for the victory over Tony Stewart, Doug Coletta, Jim Mahoney, and Jason McCord rounding out the top 5. And I think we can show you the top 10. Sure. Kenny Irwin, Andy Michener, Eric Gordon, Jack Hewitt, and Peter Cozzolino. So, Larry?
Kenny Irwin came all the way from making a pit stop, started last, and still came back and finished 6th. Not a bad job for that young man either.
Yeah, and I think he's just 14th in the points because he's been focusing a lot on the midget racing and some other divisions, so has not focused that much on the sprint car, but he's 14th in the points. But he's always worth the price of admission when you watch him. You got to win. You got to want to win on ESPN. That's what it says, Dave.
Daytona 500. I don't know that he's ever had a prouder night than tonight here at Winchester as he wins the 30-lapper and wraps up a thrilling night of Thursday Thunder, a triple header, a threefer, if you will, the midgets, the super modified record attempt, and then this guy smiling in victory lane, victorious over all the championship leaders. Remember, Speed Week is coming up on Friday night, 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. They got the complete rundown on everything that happens in the world of racing. The GP of Hungary is coming up bright and early Sunday morning, 7:50 a.m. in the East. You got to get up real early on the West Coast. If you want to sleep in, you'll be wide awake for the Bud at the Glen, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And be sure and tune in for NASCAR today. We'll be there for that as well. Next week, we are live at Indianapolis Raceway Park with the USAC Gold Midget Series. Our congratulations to Chet Phillip, the winner tonight at Winchester. For Gary